Sir, for giving me this chance to speak in out of priority on my request. Sir, I strongly and vehemently oppose this bill. This is a draconian legislation as far as the environmental protection is concerned. So I fully support my learned brother. Just now we have spoke about it. And it is being introduced in the House and it is being taken for discussion in a very light manner. Sir, I have gone through the debates of the Rajya Sabha also. Unfortunately, it is missing. See, I would like to know from the Honorable Minister regarding this, what is the intent of the bill? In the name of ease of doing business and in the name of ease of living, you are taking away the entire federal principles of the country, the Constitution, and also the environmental protection, ecological protection laws are being violated. And that is the reason by which I strongly oppose. This is a very simple way. It is being introduced and its impact and its consequences will be very high and so the ramifications will be very high. Sir, if you go through the history, why this law is enacted, if you go through the history, it is very clear that the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held in June 1972, and on the basis of that convention, that conference, three acts were enacted. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974, the Air Pollution Control Act 1981 and the Environment Protection Act of 1986. Sir, these are the landmark legislation the Parliament has made subsequent to independence and subsequent to this international conference. And also how this bill is coming to the House on the basis of the resolutions passed by two legislative assemblies, Rajasthan and the Himachal Pradesh. They have passed the resolutions. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister when these resolutions are passed. Normally, this will come in the statement of objects and reasons. And why this bill, when the resolutions were passed by the Himachal Pradesh and the Rajasthan State Assembly, I would like to know, because politically I would like to know, because it is not in the file, not in the record, not in the statement of objects and reasons also. And they are relinquishing their rights. They are relinquished their right to have, they are relinquished their powers to control, to have the water control and prevention of water pollution. Sir, in two cases I am opposing it is because number one is, the first one is the principles of federalism is violated, number one. And number two, the environmental protection laws are being violated. Sir, now the whole world is sensitive to the ecological and environmental protection. Strong demand is coming from the public to have stringent environment laws so as to protect the nature and to meet the requirements in future. And we are all, and all the Honorable Ministry is also very vocal, vehemently supporting the environmental, ecological protection, and he has attended the UNCCC conference also. After that also, we have an online discussion in which also he was very strong advocate for the environmental protection. We have never expected such a law from the Honorable Minister like Bhupendra Yadav ji. Sir, the global warming and the climate change is the hot topic for discussion in the international forums. UN conference on climate changes, all nations including India took pledge to mitigate the carbon emission. By 2070, we have decided to have the zero carbon emission, for which we are planning our programs to achieve the target. And even the Honorable Prime Minister made a very, very specific statement in the UNCC conference, in which also we are committed to have zero carbon emission by 2070, and the programs are being planned. Sir, carbon emission can be abated by mitigating the pollution, both water pollution as well as air pollution. Water pollution as well as air pollution, both are having its own impact on the carbon emission, no doubt about it. But it is surprising to note that the government is coming with a legislation to dilute the law relating to the prevention and control of water pollution just to satisfy the interest of the industry in the name of ease of doing business.
Yes.
See, the entire legislation, if you go through, during the time of NTA government, during the last 10 years, almost all the legislations are in the name of ease of doing business. So the Environment Protection Act of 1986, Forest Conservation Act, Wildlife Protection Act, the Water Act, I've already said that these are all the landmark legislation in independent India. We are able to protect the existing forest coverage only because of the stringent provisions of the Forest Conservation Act. Similarly, the Environment Protection Act, the Wildlife Protection Act. Yes. Sir, please give me little bit time. Suppose if you think that if there was no Forest Conservation Act, if there was no environment protection, what would be the status of the Indian forest now? Wildlife protection, just stringent and strict provisions are there. That is the only reason by which the forest coverage area is protected to an extent, and also the wildlife protection is still there. Otherwise, the situation would have been different. So, but here in this bill, you are decriminalizing the offences coming under the Water Act. So, the dilution of this act is in the name of ease of doing business and ease of living also. So if we critically examine the 10 years of BJP government in office, the ease of doing business is done at the cost of environment and at the cost of the labor. Yes. It is quite incidental. Both ministries are being held by the Honorable Minister. All these ease of doing business, all are at the cost of the labor and at the cost of the environmental loss. Sir, if you examine here also the same thing is happening. So I would like to know from the Honorable Minister whether you are interested in protecting the labor or capital, or the environment, or the business community, or the industry community. Because why this legislation is coming for, only one answer is to safeguard the industry. That means of doing the ease of doing business. Sir, coming to the bill provision by provision. Sir, by virtue of the various provisions in the amendment bill, all penal provisions have been freed from imprisonment and will be replaced by penalty, except section 25 and section 26. That means total decriminalization of the penal provisions of the existing bill. Sir, what is the need of imprisonment? You are well aware, as a learned lawyer also, you are well aware, because it is a deterrent punishment. The deterrent punishment, because imprisonment is a strong, stringent punishment, so that the persons or we will be deterred from doing a crime against the ecology, environment, and against the humanity. That is the reason by which the imprisonment is taken away, except in the case of section 25 and section 26. So, two, the central government shall be empowered to exempt certain categories of industries from the requirement of prior consent before establishment of an industrial unit. Absolute discretion with the central government. That is why my learned friend is just saying about that the decriminalization or not requirement of getting prior permission before starting an industry. Permission has to be obtained from the State Pollution Control Board. That is not required. The central government, sorry, 1 second. The central government is empowered to exempt the requirement of getting prior permission so as to start an industry in my district. Kollam means, what does it mean, sir? This is a centralization of power. Sir, if in our district, you are also belong to my district. In my district, if an industry has to be started, and if that industry can be exempted from getting the prior permission from the concerned authority, that can be decided from Delhi. What does it mean, sir? So what is the intent of the bill? Let the Honorable Minister explain. What is the intent of the bill? To whom you are to protect? Which industry you have to protect? So that is why I am saying, using the word, it is draconian. Sir, 1 second. And 3, for the grant of refusal or cancellation of consent by the state board to establish or operate any industrial unit, central government is authorized to issue the guidelines. That is also which has already been explained. And also an order of adjudicating officers. Sir, adjudicating officers are being appointed by the central government. Adjudicating officer is a rank which is just below the rank of a joint secretary. And such an officer is being appointed by the central government. And the number of adjudicating officers, there is no limit. The bill is also very vague. It can be interpreted in any way. How many adjudicating officers? And kindly see, an appeal from the adjudicating officer will lie to the National Green Tribunal. An ordinary common person, whether he can approach the National Green Tribunal, how much cost and expense. Sir, I will be concluding. So, how much expense? These are all the issues. And so, I am concluding, sir. So, the waterborne diseases in India is increasing day by day. Sir, not less than 4 crore Indians are suffering from the disease, leading to nearly 4 lakh fatalities every year. Water pollution is the main reason for this. So, this is the right time to which we have to protect the environment. We have to make the environment laws more strict and stringent so as to protect the environment and ecology and also the pure water. That, sir, the right to safe water is a fundamental right. The right to life envisaged in Article 21 of the Constitution. But at that time, when the time is requiring for having stringent legislation for the environmental protection and prevent the water pollution, now the government and this parliament is passing a law just to dilute the environmental law, water pollution law, and to decriminalize it, thereby the industries being satisfied. Therefore, I strongly oppose and I urge upon the government and the minister, kindly send this bill to the Parliamentary Standing Committee to have a close scrutiny of the bill. With these words, I conclude. Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Member Srimati Geeta Vishwanath.
Sir.